Hi. Well, security community is always small, so happy to see you here. So I'm Mihkel. I'm Deputy Commander of Estonian Cyber Command. My everyday life is I'm responsible for cyber operations, and part of it is defensive as well. And also I deal with information operations as well, and I'm going to try to cover some of the topics around cybersecurity and when is the right time to actually start investing in it. But let me start off with kind of few facts. 2021 attacks cost us 6.5 trillion to fix. 6.5 trillion US dollars. 60% of the small and medium enterprises that suffer from major cyber attack or data leak go bankrupt. So let's kind of try to discover some of the ways how to keep you out of these statistics, so you wouldn't have to pay for this money or lose your life work. I will start with a personal story. It was back in 2012. I was director of Estonian government portal, state portal, which is the biggest gateway of services between the government and the citizen, and also the biggest gateway of services between the government and the companies. And we were attacked by a group called Anonymous. Today they are more or less on our side, but at the time they were not on our side. So everybody was called up, so we started fighting the hackers. We were kind of seeing what they were doing in the forums, how they were coordinating the attacks. But it was not that only against the Estonian government portal, but it was also against site of president, site of parliament, site of police. So all the websites were under attack. But fortunately, my kind of department was within the Estonian Information Systems Authority, which has our cert. So we figured out really quickly who was behind it. We cooperated with the police. Police called us, said that we have apprehended the guy. He's 16-year-old and from Väike-Maarja. So basically with a hoodie, doing it in his basement. So obviously what we do, we start celebrating, right? 20 minutes later, the director of cybersecurity comes in and says, guys, what are you doing? Everything is down. The government portal is down, the police is down, president's site is down, parliament site is down, everything is down. So let's see what might have happened. So today, most prevalent attack is ransomware, right? Everybody's heard about ransomware, right? Almost everyone. So when it used to be that just a hacker encrypts your file and gives you the key for ransom, and then today is much more different. So today they will encrypt your files, keep the control over your system, leak the data to keep pressure on you to kind of comply with the ransom note to pay money. And if you don't do that, then they will leak data as well. How do they actually kind of infiltrate your system there? They use phishing emails, right? They send you really well-constructed email that you will click. Every fourth person in this audience will click one of these emails. This is statistics. This is not me. And even the cybersecurity professionals will do that. And today we see that the ransomware has increased 150% only last year in 2021. It will grow. And if you combine this with information operations, then I think you're all kind of already understanding what it means. So it means that even if you don't pay, the information operations can attack your share price, because at the end of the day, you are on the defensive. You have to explain that this data wasn't leaked, but if they already are leaking some internal emails, which you did, I don't know, maybe drunk, mad at somebody, and told them what you actually think, and then this will kind of start disrupting your business really well. So the next type of attack, which is quite common, is man-in-the-middle attack. A really good example here is Estonia. So we have Estonian hospital, and we have a Lithuanian vendor. and then we have service provider in between. So the hackers managed to kind of get themselves between that, and they basically had control over the email exchange. So sending from the vendor saying that we need a prepayment, then said how much, then kind of sending them the new requisites for banks, and basically they got away with 10,000, which is not that much, but still kind of you can scale it up to your own business. It's doable. And everybody was looking at legitimate email addresses and legitimate information, but somebody was actually monitoring and altering the data. Then we have insider threat. We all trust our colleagues, right? Well, according to surveys, then most, like 17% of companies at least think that they have an actual insider threat, but they don't know how it works, or where is it. So another example from my own life is, so who's been to sauna? Yeah, more people than know ransomware. So I had to fix sauna, and so I went to this store where I could kind of order spare parts. And I went back to the office, and I had two kind of offers in my inbox, different addresses. First, I thought like it was a almighty Google, then I kind of figured that it's impossible because I went there physically. So I sent them a letter saying that I don't know how you're using my data, but this is not okay. So when I went for my stuff, they gave me gifts because one of their former employees still had access to their inbox and basically was stealing their business from there. So it's a common thing. And last but not definitely least, one of the most interesting kind of types of attack is water holing. Anybody know what that is? So this actually goes to your partners and basically some of the businesses that you are using very much. So there is this anonymous oil company in New York. They had a pretty tight security. So hackers tried to attack them all the time, basically tried different ways, but they weren't successful. But let's be honest, attackers are also kind of good thinkers. So they found out there is a kind of one of the best Chinese restaurants next to this oil organization. So they hacked this Chinese restaurant's website. And since people were ordering there all the time, so they went there, said, yes, accept, macros, yes, I just want my noodles and chopsticks and stuff like that. And this is how they got in. And it was massive. So the amount of money that they lost because of that kind of repairing all the system was massive. So again, I'm working in the Defense Forces Cyber Command, so we are as paranoid with the tight security as possible. But still, our vendors are not. So there we have seen cases where they have tried to hack us through a translation bureau. Basically sending us, yes, this is your translation, you want this translated, I don't know, from French to English, and you trust that. You trust those companies. But it's not always the case because they might not have the security in place as well as you would think. So how do we fix that? So when is the right time to start investing in cybersecurity? Obviously, you know the answer. The answer is yesterday, right? But on the good side, it's you're doing it already. Because most of the cyber attacks are related to human error. Over 90% of the attacks are related to human error. Somebody clicks a link, somebody opens some kind of wrong website. 15% of websites are doomed anyway already at the beginning. So when you tell people, kind of raise the awareness, what they should be looking out for, and also don't open this email, which is probably not meant to, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is, and it is. So, and also don't kind of underestimate the brutality of the hackers. If they know that they have like ongoing disease, something in the family wrong, then they will use that. So if you're looking for a miracle medicine for a cancer, then they will use that to get access. The other thing, passwords. So, which is stronger password? Is it this long sentence or something which has a lot of symbols? Symbols, people? Yeah? Long people? Okay, 50-50. So, actually, the longer password is better. So having a sentence from a favorite book or something like that, or half a sentence, which you can remember easily, is better because it's harder to crack this, brute force this password. But people, even if they do use that, what else do they do? They use it everywhere. But fortunately, we have different sites where you can look where your web passwords have been leaking, but don't use the same passwords. The other thing, you as founders, investors, owners, executives, what you have to remember is that there are certain procedures that you have to stick by. So it's not okay if you're not actually administrating the system that you have the administrator rights to the system. And you can't escalate anybody else's privileges as well. This is really important because today there has to be a specific person responsible for kind of patching and keeping the systems up to date. I don't know how many of you know the Eternal Blue attack. Basically, WannaCry and NotPetya, it was known kind of vulnerability, and still it hit over 500,000 computers. It was known. So, and also what military does really well, what you can do internally is play those scenarios out. So basically, just take what would we do if ransomware would hit us? What would be the procedures? Just buy beer and play a game. And this is something that without beer, military does it without beer. But this is what we do. We just exercise. We generate the standard operational procedures. We update them. We have tactics, techniques, and procedures, SOPs, TTPs. This is what we live, and we constantly kind of work with those to kind of make sure that we are capable. Because 80% of the attacks in Estonia come towards us, towards the military, because there are state actors who want to get information from us. Unfortunately, there are a lot of good vendors on the market these days that actually provide cost-effective solutions for you, that does all the things that take out the phishing email. For example, 50% of our email traffic actually goes right into spam right away. So we filter it really hard. But there are companies who do that, companies who are also protecting against the DDoS. And obviously, there are a lot of people who are after your money. So think about that, whether you're willing to lose because like saving little money to lose your life work, which you have built like for your entire life, the livelihoods of your colleagues and their families, or simply just losing money. It depends what's your take. So let's go back to the story. What happened to the site of president and site of parliament and the Estonian government portal at the time? Actually, it was not cyber attack. It was an error from one of our administrators who actually kind of loaded up the wrong configuration file, and that's why it was down. We fixed it in a few minutes. But the lessons learned here is cyber in many cases is just a kind of symptomatic treatment. All of it starts with good IT. So if you do your IT properly, if you design your services properly, then it should be good. And if you want to go more technical, then 4 o'clock, there is Tõnu Tammer doing a seminar where he explains how to live with these vulnerabilities, because we all know that we have those. I don't remember the seminar room, but look for Microsoft and vulnerability, then you should be fine. 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Round of applause for Mihkel. Thank you, sir. We've got a couple questions here. I'll run you through them. Very, very interesting, very fascinating. I did my first phishing attack in 1998. Hotmail before Microsoft. I sent an email to my friends. It gave them a phony login page, then redirected them to Hotmail. I got all their passwords before anybody knew what any of this was. It was my first and last hacking attempt. It's a little bit harder to do it these days. Yeah, I know, sorry. Guess what? Guess what I did back in the day? All right, I have a first question for you from Lucas, which I wouldn't be surprised if this was Lucas Ilves. Is there a joint cybersecurity initiative on the European level, and how does Estonia play in this?
Well, if it's Lucas, then he should answer this as well.
Right, that's what I was thinking. He's a setup question from him.
Military does most of the cooperation on the NATO level and bilaterally. There are different initiatives through European defense funds that also kind of promote cybersecurity or cyber defense in that sense. So there are a lot of kind of different initiatives. But I would have to say that they are not so actionable these days that we would be part of that as a cyber command. They are more or less on the ministry level or R&D level right now.
Oh, okay, at that level. So, but there's that NATO cybersecurity thing near the bus station in Tallinn. Is that where you work from? Is that?
So yes, there's a cyber command, and then we have NATO Cyber Center of Excellence.
Okay.
So which is kind of tenant of ours, but it's an international organization which is owned by the nations that are kind of partners there.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. We're getting there, getting through. One more here for us. Okay, let's go, rather than the European level, let's talk about the domestic level here. How do you cooperate with municipalities in raising threat and awareness levels inside of Estonia?
So it's main responsibility for Estonian Information Systems Authority, where I used to work. So military uses them as a proxy if we see kind of, we don't want to kind of duplicate all the connections in terms of private sector and public sector. So we have one point of contact, this is Estonian Information Systems Authority. And if we as a military have some interest there related to our defense plan, then we will communicate through those. But RIA does an excellent work in that sense that they are helping them, supporting them. So we have had cases where like one anonymous authority, we had a server park which kind of grew and grew and grew, and later when RIA went in, they found out it was actually hacked and it was Russians who were sharing torrent files there. So
I got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Thank you very much. More round of applause.